All right, Jerry.
Hey, Paul. So coming off of that game last week, was the feeling frustration? Was it? I mean, because it seemed like y'all dominated in shots, had lots of really good opportunities, and you walk away with a loss.
Yeah, very frustrating. I think that's kind of been the common theme. Just as I've had meetings this week and just talk with different players and things, it's frustrating. But um, I think you balance that with I'm kind of excited that we're frustrated. If I look back at the beginning of the season, I'm like, okay, we're going to get through some of these games and we're going to be frustrated because we should be winning these certain games at the beginning of the year. I may just think, man, I just hope we're competitive with such a young group. But, to be frustrated and see opportunities in front of the goal just kind of fly right by our face and wish we had some things back. I'm happy that's where we are based on where I thought we would be at this point, but then frustrated because I think we could be a little bit further along in the win-loss column than we are.
When you look back, like you said, when you look back at that TCU game where they, on the flip side, they kind of dominated you on shots. I mean, the offense in particular seems like it's gotten way better since that first game.
Yeah, it's always the last thing to come in the program, especially with a young group. And I was even talking today with somebody about, even with all the young players that we have, the veterans we have are playing a little bit differently because of all the new blood that we have on the field. So it's different for everybody. But I think these last couple of games, things have really started to come together, and the defense has stayed really strong. So we're just kind of waiting for all of it to come together, and sometimes a little bit of luck has to go your way too. And I think if that UT game is played here at home, maybe there's a different result for that too. But we've got to be able to get results on the road. And at some point, I almost hate this is our last match of this segment because I think we're really starting to come along really, really well and gaining some momentum in some areas that I'd love to see us be able to continue that through maybe another couple of matches. But hopefully we can just put it on the back burner for a bit and sharpen our knives through the off season, through this winter break, and come back in the spring segment and take off where we finished off this fall.
Okay, Will.
Coach, we talked to Jen a couple minutes ago, and she said that her and the seniors planned on returning next season. How big of a boost is that for your program?
Huge. I mean, we always laugh about how, in college athletics, you get kids really right where you want them and then they graduate, right? And they're gone. So to be able to hold on to these veterans for another season, one is great just because those individuals are fantastic people. They're great leaders. They're great for our team. We're glad they're sticking around individually as a senior group, but also the chemistry that's come along through this year with the 14 new freshmen, along with the other parts of the classes and the seniors, to be able to keep this group together for one more year while adding, we'll find out next week, 6 or 7 new people to this group, which are quality players. I think that there's a lot of excitement around the fact that we're going to get to keep these seniors for one more season.
Brooke.
I asked Liz this, but do you feel comfortable? I mean, you guys had a longer fall than you anticipated in preparation of all these games. Do you feel as though you've finally gotten to where you were hoping you would be at this point and kind of owning the identity that you had in plan?
Yeah, I mean, we not only had a longer fall than we thought, but we had a fall. I mean, we had a fall. So I think everything has gained above and beyond what we thought this summer we might actually have. As far as who we want to be, yeah, I mean, a lot of questions at the beginning of the year, just with so many new people and then starting 4 or 5 freshmen playing 8 or 9, wondering how it's going to mesh with the veteran players, just a lot of questions in the back line, a lot of questions. So I think we've answered a lot of things, and now I think we love what our identity is. I think we love who we are and who we're going to continue to become as we push into the through tomorrow and into the spring segment.
What's your goal for this kind of winter break, I guess? What do you hope to get out of that? Because this is again something unprecedented.
Well, a few things. I think one, having come off the COVID summer and probably not being as prepared as we normally would be in a normal fall. I think we have an opportunity to be extremely ready coming off of this segment being really fit, where we weren't when we first showed up. We worked our way into being extremely fit to maintain that fitness and to sharpen a little bit. The freshmen who didn't really know exactly what they were walking into now know exactly what the expectations are. So it gives us an opportunity to really sharpen a little bit, to hone some individual skills, to make sure we're extremely fit. And I hope a lot of excitement and to come back to compete, which is something our veterans aren't used to. Usually we come back to continue to sharpen, to continue to get better individually. But right now they're going to have a little bit of a winter break and come back ready to compete again, which as an athlete, you want those opportunities as much as possible. So I hope there's some excitement coming off of everything that we've been able to do so far this fall, that we can continue that momentum, ready to compete again this spring.
Going off of what Jen said, that senior class coming back, obviously that's a big boost for you. Does the fact that you'll be competing so heavily in the spring and then go right into summer and then into next year, hopefully, which is going to be a more back to normal type schedule, have you even thought that far ahead about how much of a adjustment that will be?
I've thought about it, and I'm kind of excited about it because I think we're creating a rhythm here where we've come into this kind of abbreviated fall. We're going to have a little winter break, jump right into a competitive spring season, have a little bit longer of a summer break, and then come right back into a competitive season. So if anything, I think gives us a little bit of a better rhythm than we would normally have, where you're done with the fall, you got a little winter break, and then you've got a spring training season, and then you're off for 3 months, and then you're competing again. It's a long distance between the end of a fall season and the beginning of the next fall season. People don't really think about the 9-month span there is between when our players actually have competitive matches. So I kind of like the rhythm that this is going to put us in. I don't like the reason that we're in this rhythm, but I do like the rhythm that I think we can take advantage of as we move into next fall.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jerry?
Paul, what do you see in Oklahoma? A team that's obviously struggled this year, hadn't found much offense, just really has struggled most of the year. What do you see in them?
Well, they've got a new coach. They're putting some new things together, a new staff, new players, and yeah, they've not really gotten the results, but you don't want to be the team where they start to streak. Because of COVID, they're behind a couple of matches. I think, this is our last match of the fall. I think they have one or two more after us. So it's not like this is, hey, let's just get through this season for them. They've still got 2 more games after us. So you don't want to be the team that they break through on, the team that they start to figure things out on. We've got to be, we talked about identity a little bit earlier with Brooke. I just think that we've got to stay true to our identity and who we've started to define ourselves at. And, you become what you consistently do, and we need to be consistent.
Do you take some pride, or I don't know if this is bittersweet or what, but you're the only team that has had a result against TCU. I mean, you tied them to begin the year, and they're basically playing for the Big 12 championship this week.
Yeah, I mean, what I love most about that result, and of course now as it's played out, and they may be the eventual Big 12 champions, or at least first or second place in our conference, is how that'll play out. But I think at the beginning of it all, I was really just proud of the way that our really young squad competed. TCU came fast and heavy out of the gates as a very veteran program in that first match, and I thought that we did really well withstanding that pressure as a really young program. And I think it really springboarded us into having, some confidence as we went through the season. So I think that was a really, if you can say the first game is a pivotal point, I mean, it very much was. And especially now looking back at the success that they've had and the team that we thought they were at the beginning, and they've, proven that they are, does give us a lot of, I guess a lot of pride in how we competed that very first match.
Well,
Coach, you talked about it a little bit last week, but you guys are trying to build a resume for the NCAA tournament in the spring. How big of a win would this Oklahoma game be for that resume?
Really big. A couple of things that have to happen. You have to build. You have to build wins. So you have to have a good number of wins on your schedule, and you've got to have quality wins. And what I think will probably happen with Oklahoma is that however they finish out this season, they'll have some time to regroup and focus like everybody else during the winter break and come back with an opportunity to compete again. And they'll be building their resume. And I think they'll have some quality wins in that segment of the season, as hopefully we get to play some non-conference opponents. So, beating teams with good resumes is going to be important. So I look back, that TCU result is going to be really good for us. You can go down the line of the different games that we've had this fall, but having another win in your win column obviously is only going to help build that resume. So every game is important to try to get that win.
Brooke, what would you say the keys to tomorrow's game are, if you had to narrow it down to just a couple of things?
Well, it's no fun when coaches do have coach speak, but I'm just going to go there. I think that we've got to be solid defensively, as we have been all year, and it's crazy. Well, why wouldn't you just expect that? Well, I think when you start expecting things to happen and you stop working, and you stop, just really making sure that they happen, and they don't. So we've got to make sure we're solid defensively. They've got some firepower up front that we need to be aware of and lock down defensively. And obviously we need to put the ball in the back of the net. We've got to capitalize on opportunities that we're going to have in front of the goal, which is, what we didn't do against Texas. Had some great opportunities and didn't capitalize. So that needs to be our transition and our difference in us from last week to this week, is we've got to put some of those opportunities in the back of the net.
How do you stress that and work on specifically that in practice during the training week? Obviously it's hard to recreate that exactly, but how do you best do that?
Well, I'd like to laugh and say, well, anytime they miss a goal, we scream and yell at them and make them feel bad, but we don't do that. It's the total opposite. Really, we don't change anything. We've been working for weeks, months on our entire game from back to front, and the finishing piece of it's no different. So what we can't do is we can't overemphasize the fact that we're not scoring opportunities. We can address it. We can show it on film. We can look for better ways to execute. And we get out on the field and training and we go through those things. We put them in positions to be successful, and it's drilling. You just drill it and drill it and drill it until it becomes second nature, and until those things start to fall. But the great thing is we're getting opportunities. The law of averages will fall to our favor at some point. In soccer, it's 6 or 7 shots on goal before there's an actual goal. So as we're creating opportunities, at some point those numbers are going to fall in our favor, and that's it. Just drilling things the way that we have in the past, and not allowing the anxiety of not scoring to overshadow the opportunities that we're getting in front of the goal.
Has it been difficult to prepare for OU because they have had a few less games and they have that new coach and new staff?
Not really, only because, and I don't mean that any disrespect to Oklahoma. I think we have enough film on them at this point to know what they're trying to do and what their personalities are on the field. But for the most part this year, we've spent a lot of time figuring out who we are and what we want to do. And yes, we look at them and see where we might be able to take advantage of some weaknesses, or how we can, play against some of their strengths. But for the most part, it's been about us and what we're striving to become as a team.